You know that one huge project that's been hanging over your head? The one you just can't seem to start? Well, that feeling of being completely stuck is something we all deal with. But what if I told you the solution isn't about finding more willpower? What if it's about a simple trick to get your own brain on your side? Let's dive into how you can use rewards to finally get moving. So first, we have to talk about the problem, what I like to call the motivation dead end.
I want you to think about it for a second. What is that one massive thing looming over you right now? Maybe it's studying for a final exam, writing a thesis, or a giant assignment at work. You know it's important, but actually starting it just feels impossible.
And that overwhelming feeling, it leads right here, to being totally and completely stuck. You just stare at the task, and it feels like your brain hits the emergency brake. The motivation is just gone, and you end up doing literally anything else to avoid it. So what's actually happening here? Well, this is where it gets really interesting, because we can actually hack our brain's reward system to get ourselves unstuck. Okay, and this is the absolute key. Procrastination is not a personal failure. You are not lazy. It's really just a biological mismatch. See, your brain is hardwired to want rewards right now, but your biggest, most important goals, their payoff is weeks, maybe even months away. So your brain just looks at that giant task and says, yeah, no thanks, I want a reward now. And that is where our secret weapon comes in. Positive reinforcement. This is the whole solution. It's just this simple, intentional act of giving yourself a small, immediate reward for a small piece of progress. This little trick satisfies your brain's need for instant gratification and starts to completely rewire your motivation. And what this does is create this amazing little motivation loop. It's a 4-step process. 1, you complete a tiny milestone. 2, you get a reward right away. 3, your brain releases dopamine, that feel-good chemical. And 4, that little dopamine hit makes you want to do it all over again. It becomes this awesome, self-sustaining cycle of progress. All right, so the theory is cool, right? But how do you actually do this? Let's break it down into a simple, actionable plan.
There are really just 3 rules to this game. First, you have to break down that giant project into tiny, measurable steps. I don't mean work on my essay. I mean write the first 2 paragraphs. Super specific. Second, you pick a small reward that you only get after you finish that milestone. And third, and this is so important, make sure the reward is proportional. We're talking a 10-minute break, not a 3-hour Netflix binge. The whole point is to recharge, not to get derailed.
And to make this even more of a no-brainer, here's a simple template you can use. First, define your milestone. What specific, small thing are you going to do? Then, define your reward. And that little checkbox, that's like your contract with yourself. You only get the good stuff after the work is done, period. Okay, let's put some meat on these bones. Let's see what this system looks like in action with a real-world example. So imagine a student studying for a massive biology exam. Their milestone isn't study biology. No way, that's too vague. It's super specific. Finish summarizing the first 5 pages of Chapter 5. And the reward? Also specific, short and energizing, 10 minutes listening to a favorite playlist and a quick stretch. They finish the 5 pages, they get the reward, and that little dopamine kick makes starting the next 5 pages so much easier.
Now, of course, this all sounds great in theory, but you might run into a few hurdles when you try it yourself. So let's get ahead of them and troubleshoot some of the most common issues.
Okay, this is a big one. You might be thinking, what if I set up a reward and I just don't care enough about it to actually do the work? The answer is really simple. You have to find your reward. It has to be something you genuinely look forward to, so you got to experiment. Maybe it's a small, tasty snack. Maybe it's 5 minutes of your favorite playlist, a quick walk outside, or even just texting a friend for a couple of minutes. You have to personalize it until you find something that really clicks for you. Ah, and here's the other classic trap. Your 10-minute YouTube break accidentally turns into a 2-hour deep dive, and all your focus is just gone. How do you stop the reward from becoming a bigger distraction than the task itself? The solution here is to be really strict with yourself. You need to preset a timer on your phone before you even start the reward. Remember, the goal is a quick, energizing break, not a long escape. Keeping it to 10 minutes or less is a fantastic rule of thumb. And finally, what if you just forget? You finish your milestone, you're feeling good, and you just dive right into the next task without taking your break. Believe it or not, this can actually break that motivation loop before it even gets going. The key here is to make the reward an automatic habit. You want to tie it directly to the action of finishing. Think of it like a little if-then rule for your brain. The second you close your notebook or save that document, that is the immediate cue to start your reward. No thinking, no hesitation, just do it.
So it really all comes down to this simple but incredibly powerful mantra. Milestone, reward, repeat. That is the engine that will build your momentum and help you finally conquer procrastination.
So I'm going to leave you with this question. Go ahead and look at that big, intimidating project on your to-do list. What is the very first, tiniest milestone you can tackle, and how are you going to reward yourself for getting it done?